Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to the inaugural season of Sim Racers Group Formula 3 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Charles Boshell, tonight's producer, Racing Ron Maunzf, and we here at Slow Motion Broadcasting could not be happier to partner with Sim Racers Group to bring you this brand new series. And if you followed last season's Formula 4 Championship, you'll know some of these names: Case, Mikovits, Oladipo, Velasco, Corwin, Cotcher, and more of these drivers. And the rest of the F3 grid will be taking on new challenges, 100 more horsepower, significant aerodynamic upgrades, and a realistic damage model they did not have to deal with in the F4 series. And just like in real world motorsports, folks, Formula 3, serious racing in serious cars, past champions including Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and the current F1 points leader, Oscar Piastri. And we're going to kick off this epic season at Imola. And Imola, the Enzo Endino Ferrari International Circuit, is located outside Bologna, Italy. Opened in 1953, originally as a motorcycle track. This iconic track, current host of Formula One, World Endurance Championship, and the European Le Mans Series. Today's configuration, 3 miles, 19 liberally numbered corners, and our current track record of 1:15.484 was set in 2020 by Sir Lewis Hamilton. So, Charles, these competitors are looking to strut their stuff and establish themselves early here at Imola. So, what are your keys to this one?
Yeah, I tell you what, Jar, this is going to be a great race tonight. I love Imola. I love the F3 cars. And tonight's keys to the race are pretty straightforward. You have to know your track limits. There's some corners that you can really expand to the outside, but a lot of corners you can't. So you have to know which ones you can and which ones you can't. You got to know which curbs you can take and which ones you can't. Obviously, there are some of these curbs, primarily in those first 2 chicanes, Tamburello and Villeneuve, that you catch those curves wrong and you're just going to launch your car in the air, and that's probably race done for you for the night. Finally, push that car to the braking point. You only really have one hard braking point, and that's at Tosa, the hairpin after the Villeneuve chicane. The rest of them are all what I would say medium pressure braking areas where you want to get the car slowed down to make that entry into the corner. But these cars, obviously, lots and lots of downforce, good horsepower, and it's going to be a great race. And we'll see how these drivers move up from the F4 into the F3 and see how they get along with the rest of the competitors.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting transition. I try to stay on top of practice in the cars that the drivers are out in. So I also have just made the transition between getting a lot of F4 laps in last season to getting in this F3 car, and it is a lot different. The weight is the same, the aero much, much higher, and 100 extra horsepower. And a couple interesting things, Charles. One being the F4 car, definitely a momentum car. You definitely don't want to do a lot of sliding around in it, as that scrubs off speed. But in these things, you have got to embrace the slip angle. When you're driving these things on the limit, that rear end is hanging out, and you just have to kind of drive that way and be ready to catch it if it starts to over rotate. Another interesting thing, and particularly here, as we watch this car heading up the hill, and we may be heading, oh no, we're coming down into Ravazza right now, but I'm thinking of the exit of Piratella. These cars, when they get up on the curbing, you can really feel a change in the grip when the aero brakes. And what I mean by that is 2 wheels up on the curb, 2 wheels down on the asphalt, that front spoiler comes up off the ground, the aero loses its effectiveness for that time, and you really feel the loss of grip when that happens. And as I said, on Piratella particularly, to widen that exit, they're going to be up on that green curb on every lap, and it is really unsettling to feel the grip drop off as that front spoiler comes up off the track. And as our practice winding down here, taking a look at the times, Stephen Case threatening to break under 136. Adam Thompson had been sitting on top of the timing tower for the majority of this practice session, but Case lighting the wick here late and showing that he is still a force to be reckoned with. We saw him drive away with a lot of those F4 races last season, even with some of the these other fast drivers around him. So he is showing that he has made this transition to F3, and he's looking good. And my goodness, look at those intervals. And if you're not accustomed to our timing tower, folks, that kind of amber color there in the second column, those show intervals that are less than half a second. And that means that these competitors are extremely close, and we're going to have a great race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. It's a lot of close racing, which is what you expect for single make racing. Obviously, these drivers have most of the drivers have raced with each other in a previous season, and I will agree with you. The F4 car, I always said that it's got a little more horsepower than it does downforce, and it always feels like it's going to get away from it. And for me, it usually did. But for these cars, the horsepower and the downforce feel really balanced. It feels like you can ride that slip angle and carry it through the corner and just carry your speed. But once again, there's always going to be pitfalls to that. As you said, you get the nose up and you start losing the downforce. You've seen, as we were watching, as you were talking, some of the drivers just nibbling on those sausage curbs and figuring out that that's not going to be the fast way around this track.
Yeah, too right, Charles. And there's a difference, of course. A lot of these Italian tracks have pretty severe cut curbs inside the curb. So you're going to see them driving on a lot of the red and white stripe curbs, but you see those black and yellow striped sausage curbs. If these cars get up on those, they can launch into a low orbit. And our qualifying session now, folks, is underway. This is 15-minute open quali. I'm hoping I'm correct about that. That's the way we did F4, and I'm a big fan of open quali. I've raced a lot at the real track, and I can tell you that there was never a time where they cleared the track and let me do my qualifying laps alone. So it is a taste of realism and adds some extra strategy. And I'll tell you, Charles, if I was out here with a buddy at Imola, I would be thinking about trying to team up and make something happen with the slipstream down that long front straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And you even see the F1 when they're here. You'll see the two team cars working together to try and get that slipstream down the front straightaway. These cars, for the most part, that straightaway is just flat. I mean, there's a few places here that, you're not even looking at the brake pedal. This is not one of them, Aqua Mineral. You really need to be on the brakes there to get that entry right, because obviously you carry too much speed out there. You get off in that dirty part of the, off track area, and you've just basically wiped out your car or lost your lap time. So you see a car right here. We're on board here with Justin Snyder, who has got a nice draft. He's got a little car in front of him. I think that may be Adam Thompson. As we see cars zooming through as they're on their warm-up lap, and somebody's already on their fast lap. So we'll see the time start coming in here in short order.
Yeah, we certainly should. And I'm very curious. You mentioned the curbs before, and anybody who has spent time at Imola has experienced negotiating Varianti Alta, and there's a number of ways to do it. If you're a GT3 driver, you are four wheels off the ground on both the right and left hander there. These F3 cars, I tried it a few ways, and don't get me wrong, folks, I am not Michael Schumacher, Rolf Schumacher, or even Willie Schumacher, but I do have a little bit of wheel time in these cars, and I was finding the best way through there is to stay off the curb on entry to get that grip turning to the right, and then kind of keep your feet out of the pedals, no gas, no brakes, and kind of launch over the second one. I was getting huge chunks of time doing that, so we'll keep an eye on these guys and see how they choose to negotiate that very difficult corner. And yeah, here we go. We're getting some cars heading into that area right now, looking at Aqua Minerali, that nice run up the hill. And we'll stay with these guys just for a minute here. I think the focus right now is on Mikovits, one of our faster drivers from F4. And as I said, we'll see if we stay off the curb on the first part, launch over the second. He was pretty conservative there, but we'll see when the heat of the race is happening and some red mist is flowing. We'll see if people decide to roll the dice a little bit more right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he, like you said, very conservative. Just give it a little nibble there to try and maybe get the car to turn a little more coming out of that chicane. As we got the first time on the board, Adam Thompson with a 137.56. And I think he was pretty quick in practice as well. So that time may stay up there for a few minutes as we get other times rolling in here.
Yeah, Thompson looking very quick. As I said, he was leading practice most of the time until Case just barely nipped him. So by the time this qualifying session is over, fully expecting Adam to be up there in the podium positions after qualifying. But then again, Charles, it's you really, one of the great things about this open qualifying is, luck giveth and luck taketh away. You can have a hot lap going and get held up by somebody else and underperform in qualifying. You can also get lucky, get somebody timed out perfectly coming onto that long straightaway, get a tow, and suddenly get like half a second that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and you may qualify over your head. So those kind of lucky and unlucky incidents can definitely mix up the field and cause a lot of action early as people are trying to get where they think they deserve to be, despite what might have happened in quali.
Yeah, too true is, it just takes one driver coming out on his out lap to not really be paying attention to the cars coming up from behind at a full rate of knots, and the next thing you know, your lap's blown, and then that's reset and try again. Try and get the tires cooled off a little bit after you've pushed them up there, and get them kind of settled back in, and get ready for another run. Luckily, 15-minute qualifying, you should get, we were looking at a minute and a half. So you're talking about a good 7 or 8 laps out here if you're just out there from the get-go. So, you can get 2 or 3 good runs out of this, out of the qualifying. You can probably come in and take a new set of tires and get back out there and reset and try again. So, it is good, but for me, I'm never really worried about trying to get a draft in quali because I do not want to be starting over my head, because I do not want cars that are much faster racing, in race pace, breathing down my neck. So I'm looking for open space when I go out for my quali laps.
Yeah, too right. And that draft can definitely tow you into an area where you're not comfortable. That's happened to me on the real track and in sim. And I feel your pain. And that you get that qualifying sheet and you're like, I'm in P3. Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly right.
When that green flag drops, you are in your rearview mirror for the first several laps. And we will keep an eye on those pits, folks. It is... you can come in and get tires anytime. Of course, if you do that, you've thrown away that lap, you've thrown away your out lap, and at least one to get your tires up to temperature. So I suspect we may not see people swapping tires with minute 30, high 30 lap time here, but anything is possible. These folks are just feeling out these cars for the first time, and this is week 1. So we could see some experimentation here, riding along now with Velasco as he works his way through Tosa. A really nice line there. You see him widen up that exit, and when you put the power down, 260 normally aspirated horsepower out of these little 4 cylinders, a car weighing only 1,200 pounds. So you can definitely rotate really nicely under throttle. And Ron, let's stay with Velasco a little bit longer. Here we go. Here is Aqua Minerale. And yes, I'm fixated on Variante Alta up here, and we'll take a look and see what Velasco chooses to do here. Pretty heavy braking here around the 50 marker. And whoop! And Velasco gets camera shy there, over rotates under braking, and I don't get to see how he plans to attack that chicane, maybe next time around. And looking back up at our timing and scoring, Adam Thompson has improved his time. He's now just over 137 flat. He's got about 0.4 gap behind him to Stephen Case, followed by a green from Conway from Mikovits. And the 5 of those cars separated by about 6 or 7 tenths. So that's just giving us a flavor of the level of competition that we're going to have out here. Man, I have been so excited ever since I heard that they were peeling the top tier of drivers out of F4 and creating this new F3 league for them. I have been looking forward to it, and man, oh man, what a place to have our first throwdown at Imola. These cars perform fantastically out here on this Formula One track, and man, we're going to have a good show for you tonight. And looking like about 6.5 minutes remaining, and we'll keep an eye on Case. And Case takes another little bite out of Thompson's lead. It's actually showing zeros on my timing tower on the screen there. You can see 0.003 of a second behind Thompson. So Case wants to start this race on pole, and he has plenty of time to make something happen here. So we'll keep an eye at the pointy end of the field for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did get a nice on board of Thompson's car as he was going through Variante Alta, and he took quite a bit of both curbs, both the right hand side and the left hand side. So obviously, that is a very, very quick way through there, and he managed to make it work in qualifying to get the car around that chicane, through the chicane, and then down the hill. So obviously put in a really good lap time doing that. So I think that might be the difference, and maybe the little bit of conservative driving by some of the other drivers, maybe not quite pushing the limits of the track just yet. Maybe thinking, you know what, I'll save that for the race. We'll just worry about getting a decent spot on the grid, and we'll do some racing after that.
Yeah, too right. And I'll tell you, if you're a part-time mechanic like me, if you have any kind of mechanical sympathy for these cars, it is tough to pound those curbs there at Variante Alta. They are very high. The car is completely off the ground and landing hard. And you can hear the bodywork and the skid plates hitting the asphalt there. So it is a little painful. But if you can straighten out that tight chicane just a little bit, that really improves your run down into Ravazza. And as Charles observed, Thompson making it work for him, and that could be the difference in these early qualifying laps. We'll see if they're going to want to maintain that throughout the 20-minute race. It is kind of rolling the dice every time you do that, and are they going to want to take that level of risk on every lap? And probably going to be situational depending on what is going on in the race. But right now, still, it is Thompson from Case, from Eggert, from Green, from Lloyd Conway, who has pushed his way past Mikovits up into the top 5 provisionally with 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just kind of looking down the order. It looks like the top 10 or 11 are within a second of pole. So that's, as we said, pretty tight group up the top of the grid. So this is going to be just not only a tough qualifying battle, but it's going to be a tough race battle. It's not going to be room for error out here. It only takes one of those little sausage curbs. I was watching on board here. It only takes one of those to end up having you end up in the gravel trap and losing all the track position that you had, and going back out and trying to reclaim a few spots and just do some points racing after that. But yeah, these curbs here are pretty monstrous, and you saw a couple of cars that just nibble at the ones, especially the ones through the 2 chicanes at the beginning of the lap. There's just no room for error there. You can work that red and white all day long, but once you start hitting those sausage curbs, it's pretty much hold on to what you got, and hopefully you can keep it from getting into the wall. As we see Jeff Slidge coming through Variante Alta there, and he's going to make his run up here into Variante Alta. Now that was Aqua Minerale, and yeah, as you see, very conservative there on the chicane. Working his way down, and I think he's going to. I think this is his outlap, or no? Looks like it's all the sectors are there. So only green sector and sector 1, which is his best of the qualifying session. Everything else is a little bit off. So maybe he's just kind of resetting, maybe burning a little fuel to get ready to go out here and try a hot lap.
And I'll tell you what, Charles, I have been working with various companies that use this SDK software for a couple of years. And I'll tell you right now, I have never sat here and looked at our SDK timing tower and had red in every interval, 24 cars, every single one of them under 0.5 seconds. Holy cow, we are in for a barn burner tonight. And we mentioned pit stops. We have had a couple people pit with about enough time to do an out lap, warm up the tire lap, and 1 heater. So some of our competitors here have elected to take a run on a fresh set of tires toward the end of qualifying with a light fuel load, see if they can make something happen here. And also, while we were blabbing away there, we did not mention that Stephen Case has pushed past Thompson. We have 2 drivers under the 137. That's Stephen Case with 136.928, and only 1/10 behind him with a 136.941, Adam Thompson. And for those who watched the F4 series last season, you saw Case drive away on a number of occasions. You occasionally get some pressure from the likes of Pavorji and Mikovits, but Adam Thompson here is showing that he is going to be in Case's rearview mirror for the entirety of this one. So that is going to add some extra interest, I think, to how this one unfolds.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. When you get a timing board that's that tight, it's going to be hard just to figure out where the best battle is going on at any given time. So it'll be fun to watch these cars. Obviously, with them that tight, that slipstream down the straightaway is going to be that much more important. But you're going to see a lot of people taking chances, especially late in the race, going down into that turn one or into that first chicane uh, of Tamburello. So they're going to be working hard to try and get the right line in there and try to make a move and see how long they can make it stick. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch as you see the car here picking up a little debris. Adam Thompson coming out of the final corner and heading down the straightaway. Is he going to improve on his time? He is indeed, up to a 136.69, 2/10 of a second over Case.
Ooh, Thompson takes a big bite. He took 3/10 out of his previous lap, and he did cross the finish line before the timer hit 0. So he's going to get another one here, folks. If you pass start finish before the timer reaches 0, you do get another lap. So our 15-minute qualifying session very typically goes longer than that. So we could be seeing 16 and change up there on the timing screen if you're watching that timer ticking past 15. And Thompson still out there. Case has parked it, however. So the only person within striking distance at this point, I'm going to say, is Jason Green, and he is about 7/10 behind. So pretty unlikely that he is going to close down on Thompson right now. So I'm going to say that Thompson sitting pretty for the pole as this one winds down. A few cars left on track. You see our track map there. And people rolling, as I said, will be permitted to finish those laps. Ooh. And oh my goodness. And there we go. And if you're used to watching our F4 races, right about now, those little open wheel gremlins would be running out there to reassemble that car on the track. Not happening here in F3. So if you wall it, if you make contact with a competitor, there's going to be damage on, and we're going to see some cars taking tows, and that is a huge change from F4 competition. These cars will tolerate a little bit of wheel banging, but not a lot. So people are going to have to adjust their driving with that in mind. And it'll be interesting to see how much attrition we have before this one is over. It's fairly short. It is a 20-minute sprint. And so this qualifying going to be really critical. And we're going to see some heated battles, Charles, coming into turn 2, Tamburello chicane. Could see some battles into Tosa as well. And I always like that late break inside pass into Variante Alta. It is risky, but it can certainly rattle the person who's defending against you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a risky proposition. But, once again, you get the line right and you can get the inside and get the advantage. You just got to basically, not take too much of that curb on the right-hand side, skip across there, and should be able to steer clear of the car that you're making the move on. And looks like we've got qualifying done. Looks like Adam Thompson's going to be on the pole.
Yeah, Thompson following up on his pretty persuasive performance in practice. Case did just eke past him, but a pretty big gap behind Thompson to Case. And I'm not sure if anybody was anticipating that, but Thompson really showing his stuff out here in quali. And again, pretty short race here. So if Thompson can keep it clean and drive good defense, getting that pole position is very significant here. And we're going to have that starting grid for you in just a moment. Looks like we're going to have 28 cars potentially lining up here, and having a little bit of a glitch with our normal grid. So we're just going to go ahead and look at the qualifying sheet. And that is our starting order. So we're going to have Adam Thompson lining up next to Stephen Case in row 1. Then it's going to be Green next to Eggert in row 2. De Silva will line up next to Velasco in 5 and 6. Then Conway next to Mikovits in 7 and 8. Poborji next to Jason Cotcher in 9 and 10. Corwin and Lopez in row 6. Lebivi and Oladipo there in 13 and 14. Ganesh next to Snyder in 15 and 16. Chris Cook will line up next to Dylan in 17 and 18. And as we scrollio that one, Aaron Van Wagner will line up next to Navas, then Cardenas next to Duvall in 24 and 23 and 24. It's Posada, Brashear, Grinsky, and Shilji there in 25 and 26. And Jeff, you corrected me once already. I know I did it wrong again. Give me a few more years and I'll get that name correct. And in 27 and 28, Josh Leslie will line up next to Jason Trantham. And actually, those guys might have just been out for practice and may not take the grid. So we may have a 25-car grid here. We'll take a look and see if those guys show up. And taking a look down the line there, yeah, it looks like Thompson is on your right there. So he is going to have the inside line into turn 1, and no nannies on these cars. So no ABS, no traction control. And we're going to try to get these cars clean off the line from a standing start. There are the lights ticking down, and round 1 of our first F3 season is underway. Thompson looking good off the start. It is Thompson from Case, from Green. Looks like De Silva has jumped Eggert up into P4, and fairly clean start so far. But let's see how we do into the Tamburello chicane. So far, so good. Everybody looking smooth, and it does take a minute, Charles, for these tires to get hot. So discretion is going to be the better part of valor here on lap 1.
Yeah, it looks like we had a clean start. I don't see anybody off the pace or with a spin. So great start by all the guys. You always have to wonder, with the mix of rigs that we have available. A lot of times you'll get those dual clutch systems, and you may see a spinner off the start. But we had a really good start. Oladipo already up 5 positions, so having a great start to the race.
Wow. And we'll see if we can spool up a replay
Ooh.
and see what he did. And here is our first casualty. You see body parts there on the track. Van Wagner has walled it and spit some parts off of that F3. And like I said, last season, he was safe from that due to damage being off, but he is going to suffer the consequences of missing that front wing. And the aero on these cars is very, very strong, and that car is not going to be driving well after this little hit. And there it was. Oh, that was somebody else's.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Oh, well, no, it wasn't. Going from bad to worse there. Van Wagner successfully avoids hitting the car in front of him, then loops it trying to get going again and right into the Armco. So, Aaron, I know this is not the highlight that you wanted on slow motion broadcasting, but it's what you're getting. And we'll see if he's going to proceed or if he's going to go into the pits and get that nose replaced. And meanwhile, as we begin lap 2, it is Thompson from Case, from Green, from De Silva, from Christopher Eggert as your top 5. And looking at Oladipo, holy cow, up 6 positions. So he definitely got a big jump. Jeff Silge in the back there in P18 got a big jump, up 8 as well. And I'm trying not to put too much pressure on Ron, but maybe he can take a breath here and show us what Oladipo was able to do there on lap 1 to pick up those positions.
And we'll, as we're waiting on Ron, we'll just keep talking about this. But yeah, up 6 spots at the start. They obviously had a really good start. That is the opposite to that dual clutch system. Is if you get it right, you rock it off the start-finish line at the start of the race. I'm always been one of those that just drop it in first and floor it. So not all that technical when it comes to the sim. Is we're going to get the start here. And we're going to be on board with Oladipo. And yeah, just a really good start. Beats the guy, his row mate off the line. Gets a good run, nice little draft off the car in front, moves down, really aggressive on the braking going down into turn 2. And there's where you make up your spots. Got another good run out of 3 and 4. And it moves to the outside. Yeah, great. I mean, just everything picture perfect from Oladipo there at the start of that race.
What a start by Oladipo. Everyone else kind of being chill, being careful, not wanting to be that guy that bends the car on the first corner of the first lap and left the inside completely open. Oladipo looks like he's in the commuter lane there, the HOV lane, passing all the people stuck in traffic. And man, oh man, he had to be, I wish we had a webcam on him. I bet he was laughing while that was happening. That got him from P14 on the grid all the way up to P8 before the first corner. And you could not hope for a better start than that. And taking a look up and we're got a little replay here. We have an incident with Chris Cook. Looks like he's heading into Variante Alta there, and medic. A couple cars involved in that one, and incredibly, I don't see the kind of yard sale of body parts I would have expected after a shot like that, but Cook's still underway and looks unharmed. And this is another replay from his perspective. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
and wow, there wasn't any contact there. He just snapped right there under braking, Charles. And I encouraged people last night to kind of play around with their brake balance, and he might have played around with and cranked it a little too far back right there, because that car snapped like a pendulum. That was rough.
That was rough. Yeah, it was just obviously, maybe misjudged his closing distance to the car in front, pushed a little hard on the brake pedal, as you see. Too much rear lockup, spins the car around, and great job by the two guys that went through to avoid and not cause any contact. And everybody can continue on. Obviously, he's going to have a little work to do. Cook is going to have to do a little bit of work to make up some of that time. He's down 4 positions since the start. We're on board here with Jason Green, hanging on in third. As you can see, the gaps are starting to spread out between him and Case and Thompson. The top 3 looks like about 7 to 8 tenths between each car. So still well within draft distance for these cars on that straightaway. But you're going to have to work a little harder. You need to tighten that gap up, or you're going to end up eventually losing it.
Yeah, too right, Charles, and Case working hard to stay within drafting distance of Thompson. I'm going to say it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a second and not much more. So Case barely hanging on to Thompson, and the two of them might end up driving away. Green, you watch that gap growing there. It's now 1.6, and now he's getting some pressure from Eggert behind. And Green definitely in danger of missing the train here, and is riding along with Stephen Case, looking ahead at Thompson. And I thought I saw a lapped car up ahead, a little early for back markers to get involved, but apparently it has happened. We had a couple incidents early, and the leaders are going to be encountering traffic only 6 minutes into this 25-minute race. And traffic is one of those things that giveth and traffic taketh away. That is Molina there being approached from behind by Thompson. He is going to get the blue and yellow check your mirrors flag. I'm not going to call it a passing flag. It's an alert flag. But one of the good things, Charles, about this group, this is a league event where these guys have high familiarity with each other and have a lot of trust and respect for each other. You saw it right there, Molina jumping out of the way, letting Thompson and Case through. And that's the kind of awareness and sportsmanship that we grew accustomed to watching F4, and is carried forward into this F3 event.
Yeah, as you see him getting out of the way for Green coming through. Yeah, just a really good job, great sportsmanship to just clear the path. He knows he's off the pace. And saw him as he came out through Tamburello, kind of caught the sausage curb on the right-hand side and almost lost the car, managed to hold it up, but very wise and very smart. Saw the mirror, saw Adam Thompson growing much larger in the mirror, and says, let me get out of the way, let these guys continue to race, and I'll just kind of hang out and see if maybe I can pick up a couple of spots through some attrition. As you see it right there. Ooh! Oh, no. And that car is around. That's Velasco in the 777. And that's a T-bone. And that's, I believe that's a blown engine, it looks like. That's tough. That was obviously 3 cars going through Tamburello chicane. Looks like the lead car maybe got tripped up a little bit, the wrong line. And, if that's just stacking up after that, and there's nowhere to go, nowhere for Lopez to go, and just straight into him, and then collects another car as he gets sent across the track. So 3 cars involved in that, and probably more that we didn't see.
Yeah, and I mentioned attrition early on, and how big of a role would it play? We see a blown motor and a couple of totaled cars right there.
Ooh.
And part of that, yeah, frankly, I thought the reason we were looking at that, somebody was making an epic move through traffic there through the beginning of the Tamburello chicane, turn 3, and somebody really making a sweet move and making something happen with all that carnage and exploding cars around them. And meanwhile, up front, look at Thompson. He's stretched that interval out to 2 seconds. He knew that he had to shake Case and get him out of drafting range, and he has thrown down the gauntlet. He's hit a 1:36.8, so he's almost approaching his qualifying time, only on lap 6 right now. So Thompson really throwing down the gauntlet here and showing that he has the pace, and he may be the man to beat here in the inaugural season of Sim Racers Group F3. And riding along with Case right now, watching Thompson kind of recede into the distance, and Case again taking a little bit of a conservative line through the chicane there. I really think if you straighten it out just a little bit more and roll the dice, get a little launch off that second part, you can get a little better run down to Ravazza. But that's why I'm in the commentary booth right now and not out there driving. And this race ticking by pretty quickly now. This is a 25-minute race, 5 minutes longer than the F3 races. As you see Mikovits right there taking a peek around Oladipo, and Oladipo is still improving his lot in life. He's up 9 positions now, Charles, all the way up into P5.
Yeah, having a great run, but he's got Mikovits crawling up his tailpipe and making the move to the inside. It's a draft kicking into effect with another car. I believe that's De Silva behind them, also gaining time. And great job by Mikovits there to take that position, drops Oladipo down to P6. And now De Silva is in the middle of this battle as well.
Yeah, and you really saw the draft going to work there. There was nothing that Oladipo could do at that point, but he is not giving up, and he's going to have Mikovits driving in his mirror as Oladipo all over the back of Mikovits' car like the plastic on Grandma's couch, and now Tyrone De Silva wants to get involved in this one, and he's got about half a second gap ahead to Oladipo. So up front, really no changes. You see those zeros there. That's how they qualified. Thompson from Case, from Green, from Eggert, and they are driving away. Look at that. Eggert has dropped Mikovits like a bad habit. 7 seconds. And those top drivers really driving off right now. And the competition right now is for that last step in the top 5. That's Mikovits from Oladipo, from De Silva, having a nice fight there. And there's a couple of fights further down the grid. Looks like Brashear's getting pressure from Duvall from behind, and there is Molina. Looks like he is spinning out of P25. Unfortunately, there for him. And 11 minutes in, and you know, the field, Charles, has spread out a little bit. We saw all those red intervals in qualifying, and I was kind of expecting him to be a little bit more nose to tail at this point, but the cream rising to the top here, and the gap's getting pretty big. Looking at Duvall right now, and Duvall, oh, I've been wanting to see this, is going to take a try inside of Ravazza. He's side by side. Oh, thinks better of it, and maybe trying to push Brashear there into a mistake, which almost happened. You saw Brashear under pressure washing out of Ravazza 1, and almost created an opportunity for Duvall behind. And here's Brashear looking back at Duvall, and look at that slipstream go to work. Kind of looks like Brashear towing an anchor there, and really nothing you can do. You can't really defend that far back, and we're going to see it again. Oh, whoa. And holy cow, I think Brashear maybe should have just accepted that pass and backed out of it. Almost caused a collision there. And now Van Wagner wants a piece of Brashear going into Villeneuve chicane. Oof. And some good action taking place right here. And they are fighting over that P14, Charles, like it's P1.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a league, and this is a long season, so every point counts. And so you're trying to get every position you can get on the grid, and that battle is still continuing. And it's brought who's the next car back there? Is that Christopher Cook? He's brought him up here as well. So now he's going to be in the mix for this, as looks like that Duvall is kind of checked out a little bit on this group.
Yeah, I see Van Wagner. Oh,
Ooh,
Van Wagner going a little wide there out of Aqua Minerale, and you can get a slowdown way out there, and we may see Van Wagner trying to run that off. And there's that
oh yeah.
inside pass. Oh my goodness, I was waiting for that into Varianti
Ah!
Alta. Oh, and a little spinner going off there. That Cook.
That was Cook. Yeah,
That
he got kind of crossed up there coming through the chicane, and had to kind of check up, make a little left hand correction, and just could not control it. Lost the rear of the car. It was just because of that tight battling through the chicane.
Yeah, and my goodness, I mentioned that you could get spooked right there. A very tough approach to Varianti Alta there, even on the best of days when you're alone and when you suddenly find a car that has dived down the inside, very easy to get rattled. And you saw Cook there, maybe a little bit too much curb. He bounced out to the outside curb, and that was enough to upset that F3 car and send him around. And Cook, lost a couple of positions there. He had moved up some from his initial
Ooh,
qualifying position, and now he's showing down one position, currently sitting in P18. And let's see, looks like we are a little over halfway, about 10 minutes remaining, and up front it is still Thompson from Case, from Green, from Eggert. Nothing has changed up there. Oladipo 10 seconds now behind Eggert, and he had been getting some pressure. I think that was Mikovits that was pressuring him from behind, and looks like De Silva has pushed his way through, and now it is going to be Mikovits fighting De Silva for that P6, and riding along with De Silva right now, looking back at Mikovits. And we'll hang here just for a second. You can watch that draft go to work. Look at our timing tower. It's now 0.35, and watch that number drop, as this toe goes to work. And is De Silva going to be able to stick it down the inside here? Looks like Mikovits is going to try to cover. De Silva maybe wants to try the outside here. Very tough to do. Oh, those anti-cut curbs looming there. So easy to wash out. You hit those things, it is all over. But they both got through that one unscathed. And man, that is risky business right there, Charles.
yeah, really, really is. And I think that gap is growing. I think Mikovits has actually had taken the lead over Oladipo there, and so I'm not sure how it ended up he was the third man in this row as when he was the first man earlier. But obviously, maybe a little bit of a battle between himself and Oladipo, and cost him a couple positions, but still right in this. And when you're battling through the corners, it tends to bring the cars behind a little closer up to you, and it stretches that gap out to the cars in front. So you can get away with that a couple of times, but eventually that's going to end up costing you, where it's costing you loads and loads of time. And sometimes it's better to just kind of maybe stay in line and ride around for a little bit, as opposed to racing every corner like it's the last one. But as you see, the gaps are starting to stretch out. This is one of the closer battles on track. That Brashear Van Wagner is still going on back there, only about 6/10 separating those. And so the guys in front have stretched their gaps between the top four. Eggert still trying to hang on to Green, only 1.2 back, and looks like it's starting to close a little bit.
Oh my goodness! And you saw that Lego liveried car there, flashing in and out of going back and forth between Imola and Legoland there, and you don't like to see that happening
No.
in front of you when you're driving one of these bad boys. And it happening again. Oh, and the cloud of smoke and some body parts there. I'm not sure who it was that went off there. It looks like Christopher Cook. He had been in a little fight with Silge there, and looks like Silge got by him, and not sure if he turned him, but you saw Cook in the grass there. After Variante Alta, we'll take a look and see what happened. And
Nope.
Cook,
Another brake lockup.
deja vu all over again.
Nope.
Rear lockup causes that car to snap. And Chris, push your brake bias a little bit forward, just a hair, and that may stop happening. And that's pretty. I don't have a ton of time in this car, Charles, but I didn't really find a tendency for rear lockup there. So something weird's going on with Cook's car.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching Cook when he was in that battle earlier, and he kind of once he spun the car, we kind of stayed with him for a few seconds, and he's just struggling a little bit on his lines. He came through Tamburello, basically ate every sausage curb on both sides, which obviously is not the fast way through there. It'll rattle your hands in the sim, as well as just make the car completely undrivable. You just kind of have to wait for it to settle back down. So, we would go back to the drawing board here a little bit for Cook, and obviously got some good pace because he was up there battling earlier, but just struggling a little bit on maybe just getting consistency down for this track.
Yeah, and another wild card with these things, Charles, as I mentioned.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Ooh,
Nice
was
little
nice.
avoid, riding along with Cook, and manages to be a spectator and not a participant in that spin. But what I was going to say, the extra 100 horsepower, you can definitely get a lot more wheel spin on these cars,
Mhm.
and with the extra downforce, it doesn't cause spin. So you can be coming out of all these slow corners, smoking those rear tires and overheating them. And that may be what Cook is doing,
Oh,
being a
there we
little
go.
careless with the throttle and overheating those rears, and that might be causing the lack of rear grip and causing him to spin on that entry that we've seen a couple times. And then
Yeah.
here's another quick replay. We're taking a look at Adam Duvall right here, and he is going to over rotate into Ravazza, and good avoid right there. But the
Mm.
car that was fast enough to avoid that was Grunsky. Lost a couple of positions for his trouble. And Charles, the red mist is in full bloom right here. It is week 1. It is a brand new series, and it is possible. And we're going to see this more as the season unfolds and talk about it more. But you may have to take care of the tires on these cars. You might not. Whoa! And you should also take care of that part and that piece that went over the fence and the upside down part as well. So my goodness, that was quite a biff, and that was Jason Trantham cartwheeling through the through the kitty litter and into the tires there. And my goodness, that kind of caught me off guard. I don't
Yeah.
even remember now what I was saying, but Trantham, we've got another car bend, and here is your replay.
Oof,
And open wheel cars, that's what happens when you
that's it.
touch wheels. And the cartwheel, dust, tires, wings, and a call for the medic, and it goes from bad to worse as Trantham gets turned there. It wasn't Trantham doing the cartwheeling, but he was definitely involved and got involved in the aftermath of that. And which car was that
I think it was Cardenas.
was
I
it
think it was the other,
Cardenas?
yeah, I think it was Cardenas was the other car, the 28 in front. As you see, yeah, that was Trantham going over the top and removing the rear wing off of Cardenas, which obviously caused him to spin. Probably has some wheel damage as well. And you see the Lego car almost made it through. I think he made a little contact with Cardenas as well. And yeah, that's 2 cars now back in the pits and getting repairs. Obviously, they have a fast repair. They'll get a tow, have a fast repair if they decide to come back out, maybe make up a couple of positions, gain some points. But that's just wow.
And our producer Ron is enjoying that one a little bit too much, and that is going to show up on a highlight reel on slow motion broadcasting in the very near future. But my goodness, certainly dramatic. And like I said, these guys have graduated. The old series damage was off, although no damage wouldn't have helped right there. When you're upside down, you end up taking a tow anyway. But all right, I'm just going to take a cleansing breath right now and let you know that up front it is still Thompson from Case, from Green, from Eggert, from Oladipo, and Thompson has driven away. And in the F4 series, this was often Stephen Case creating some gaudy intervals between him and P2, and now he is sitting behind that interval, Thompson having stretched that gap out to 4 seconds. And Thompson getting a little squirrely there, a little camera shy, and maybe a commentator's curse there as well through Aqua Minerale. And folks, when you hang that rear end out like that, that overheats those rear tires. You really have to take a breath and let them recover, as you saw Thompson was able to do, because he got through Variante Alta there without incident. But oh my goodness, and some more. You see what happens with those sausage curves, and we're descending right now into complete carnage as these tires are starting to give out. And again, these drivers are just learning how to take care of these tires, and some of them potentially not succeeding. And there goes Oladipo. He's obviously missing some body work, and that car is looking a little loose under braking. And there we go.
It tends to do that when you don't have a rear wing attached.
Yeah.
It makes it hard to make those corners at speed. Yeah, Thompson, lost a few tenths there. He caught that inside curve there at Aqua Minerale as well. And he's been pushing it. Obviously, he's been taking chances up at Variante Alta, taking as much of that curb as he can, which obviously is risk versus reward. And so far it's paid off for him, but he's took a little bit too much as we've got Ganesh around through Variante Alta as well. Nobody making contact, and he says, I think that's probably it for me today. We'll tow back to the pits, and we're back on board here with the leader.
Wow, and Ganesh already a lap down, has had enough. And Charles, I really got to think that tire management, as we go through this 12 race season, that tire management is going to be something that these drivers are going to have to think about. And it seems that it's possible, at least, that some of them did not think about it and thought that they could just flog these cars around the track for 25 minutes. And that is apparently not the case.
No, it doesn't appear so. It looks like that the tires are being pushed to the extreme, and as you get later in the race here, I think we're on the white flag lap. You can see the tires, the rears especially, starting to give a little bit.
Thompson has taken the white flag, and Oladipo alert. He has fallen all the way down to P10. Not sure what happened there. We'll see if we can find out what happened with him, but he was all the way up there comfortably in P5 and has somehow lost 5 positions. Had to be an off or an incident of some kind. And oh yeah. I was just commenting how he had no wing.
Yep.
Good job paying attention, JR. But that's what happened to Oladipo, and he was looking pretty good for the majority of that one, and then it got away from him at the end. And where are we right now, Ron? Where is our leader right now? Going to take a quick look as we jump out of that replay and get with Thompson.
There we go.
And see where he is. And he is coming up under the bridge, heading into my favorite section here, Variante Alta. And we'll see him go through here for the last time. There we go. That's the line I want to see in a little slide. That's how you do it, Adam Thompson. Thank you. I'm glad somebody out there is listening to me as Thompson demonstrates the JR 4-wheel off the ground exit Variante Alta with a bonus power slide. And Adam Thompson is running the last ragged rags of those rear tires as he comes through Ravazza for the last time. And he's going to take the checker here, folks, easily. A little bit of sloppy driving there down the stretch has allowed Case to claw back a couple tenths, but that interval back to P2 is still 3.7 seconds. So Thompson absolutely dominating. It looks like it's going to be Thompson from Case, from Green, from Eggert. That is as they qualified 1 through 4. Kalen Mikovits has moved his way up 3 positions to P5 as they continue to come across the line. And wow, pretty good race, Charles. And I'm super interested in this tire wear or tire overheating situation. So get a couple of these drivers up here in the booth with us after the race and see if we can get some feedback on that. But you really saw things getting kind of loose and sloppy there toward the end. And I just got to think that the tires stopped cooperating.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And, it's, the guys up front, especially I would say Thompson, pushing hard from the outset. So obviously, as you get a little bit further into the race, you kind of lose a little bit of focus there, which might have something to do with it. But yeah, tires definitely a big thing. Obviously, as the cars burn fuel off, the car that gets lighter, you start losing some of that extra weight, and which with the added bonus of hot rears that have been worn down, makes it for some very treacherous driving conditions. But it's something we'll have to keep an eye on as the weeks roll out here.
Yeah, too right. And Imola, I wouldn't really call Imola a high tire wear track. Pretty high speed situation, a couple of slow corners, of course. But if this is just a flavor of how these F3 tires are going to go, there are certainly some tracks on the schedule where tire management is going to be a lot more challenging than it is here. So as we wait for the last couple of cars to come around, we're going to have those results for you in just a second. As Thompson says, somehow my rear tires still have air in them, so I try to take care of that really quickly. And we actually saw last night one of our drivers pick up a reckless driving penalty and a post-race drive-through last 10 positions. The league admins gave it back to him, but kind of playing with fire right here. And anyway, there are your race results. And there is Adam Thompson, the suspiciously named slow motion racing team representative out here today, and it completely dominated this one. And really, Thompson was the class of this field, and we'll see if anybody has anything for him as the season continues. So Stephen Case, another one of our very fast drivers, always at the pointy end to F4, right there in P2. Then it's Jason Green, Christopher Eggert, and Kalen Mikovits there in P5. And again, Mikovits moved himself up 3 positions, so good drive from him. Then it's Tyrone De Silva from Josh Corwin. Great drive from him. If you followed him in F4, he was in the Inter 1 class, kind of sniffing around the back of the fast group that we called the Aliens, and he has distinguished himself very well with a P7 deep into the top 10. Then it's Jason Cotcher in P8, Lloyd Conway in 9, Danush Paborji in P10, a little lower than I expected to see him. He was always at the pointy end of those F4 fields as well, but these drivers are going to adjust differently to the conditions of driving these F3 cars. Then it's going to be Dylan from Shilge. Sorry, Jeff. I'm just going to call him Jeff. I'll put Jeff there in P12. Then it's Van Wagner in P13, Brashear in 14, Adam Duvall in 15, Grunsky in 16, Daniel Lebivy in 17, Chris Cook, who fought a losing battle with his tires in P18. Oladipo there involved in an incident that ruined his race. Look at him all the way back in P19, and he was running with the big dogs in the top 5 for 90% of that one until things went south at the end when things got kind of sloppy for everybody. Then it's Justin Snyder in P20, Lopez in 21, Alex Velasco in P22, followed by Naves, Trantham, Cardenas, Ganesh, Posada, and Leslie. I don't think Leslie started, so we won't count that P28. And my goodness, take a look at that timing tower from 20 to 27. Those cars were not on the lead lap, and you definitely saw a couple people crash out. So my goodness, that is our opening round. And Charles, I think we're going to get some good racing out of these guys this season.
I think you're absolutely right. It looks like it's going to be a really good year. Obviously, some really good fast drivers at the front of the field, but the mid-pack, there was great battles for the entire race. And yeah, unfortunate for Oladipo, we called him out with a great start. Just kept climbing the ladder, and then eventually contact damaged his car, and he just basically had to ride the string out. It's too late to come in and get a fast repair, so he just rode the last couple of laps around with a damaged race car, and still ended up up 2 positions. So not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but not where he was at the 15-minute marker. So kind of unfortunate, but that is kind of how racing works. Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug, and tonight he happened to be the bug.
Yeah, too right. All right, well, man, great race, and again, we here at Slow Motion Broadcasting so stoked to be here with Sim Racers Group for the inaugural run of this new F3 series. And I'm going to take a peek outside in the green room and see if there's anybody out there waiting to speak to me. And it looks like we got Jason Cotcher. And Jason, first of all, congratulations on a successful round 1 of this new F3 series. It was a great race. I know you're going to go back and watch the replay, and we hope that you enjoy that. But it was awesome to watch, awesome to call, and we are super pleased to be your partners in this, and things are looking great here in week 1. But my first question to you as a driver, we saw things getting pretty sloppy, or somewhere between about I'm just going to call it around the 20-minute mark, maybe a little earlier. So is tire management going to be an issue driving these F3 cars in these 25-minute sprints.
Yeah, hey guys, happy Wednesday night. Thanks for doing the broadcast. Always appreciate it. Absolutely. I was trying to be, my goals tonight were top 10 and 0x. I think I finished 8th. Ended up on 1x, but as in my mind, that's job done. Tire management is absolutely a thing with these F3 cars. And I had that in mind the whole race. Usually, my sparring partners are Corwin and Adrian. And in the F4, I don't know, it was a little more casual. If you bang wheels, you can just kind of, probably still be on your way. And I didn't have a problem with the elbows out. But this series, damage is on now. There's no more forgiveness. And I was trying to take a very endurance mindset. I've mentioned it before. With the F4 you could burn the tires off a little bit, but with the F3 you can burn them off a lot, and the homework track to track is certainly going to be advantageous. I was trying to be just kind of cool, calm, and collected. Stay clean, run 0x, don't fight too hard, don't use it too hard in the early part of the race, and just get to that third, and you can see kind of how it's all shaken out. If you've managed to get lucky and dodge bullets and protect the car, you can press a little bit harder. And tonight the cards all kind of fell to me this time. So stoked about that as a driver and as an admin. Just super proud of the community as always. It's a big step. I mean, some of these guys are logging from home. There's a significant chunk of them that are in house that had never, they don't have iRacing subscriptions. They have never done race with damage on, and so it's a completely different approach. And there's going to be drama, there's going to be chaos. It's F3. They can be a bit of a handful, but seemed like it all went pretty smooth, and already getting compliments through the Discord and such about the entertainment factor. And yeah, it's a big step forward for SRG. We started with Skippies, and then we went to the Formula Ford when it came out, and then the F4, and now the F3. Really feels like, it's coming together and we're pushing forward. So really, really stoked for that. Thanks.
Yeah, we are as well, and it is a joy to watch. And I'll tell you, we were talking about tires as this one wound down, and we saw things getting a little bit messy out there. And I wouldn't, Jason, really call Imola a tire grinding course. Your drivers are going to see a lot worse than this as the season progresses. So you may need to have a tire management, tire temperature seminar down at Sim Racers Group, and give some people some education on how to take care of these things if they want to finish. So super interesting stuff. And my goodness, really a fantastic race. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to?
Yeah, always the community. My dad is getting into sim racing a little bit more serious now. He's had a rig for a while, but we got him in some F4 going on Tuesday nights. It's a lot of fun. I watched that last night. And I mean, my parents have always been super supportive of me and chasing my dreams. They helped me build SRG with some backing and some effort, and most importantly, the emotional support to encourage me to push it. And we wouldn't have SRG without them for a number of reasons. Even as I got forward with my career and started to make things happen in life, you're still always tentative, and you can get kind of lost in the self-doubt. So to have people behind you and encouraging you to do it and go after it is really made all the difference for me. So my parents, of course, and then the community. I mean, it's pretty lonely if you're sim racing and you're just out there running around by yourself, but to have 30 drivers out there, loving it and appreciating it and growing with it is just the greatest thing I've ever done, and it's thanks to them. So you guys as well, always grateful for slow motion broadcasting. Really the quality is awesome. It's fun to see the views go up through the slow motion broadcasting channel and the SRG YouTube channel as well. So really appreciate it. Great fun, just brilliant to see the growth, and big season ahead of us. I feel like I'm talking fast. I'm still trying to calm down. That you get on an official, you want to do well, but I've been racing with these guys now 2.5, coming up on 3 years. There's a lot of trash talking and pride and such that comes on the line. Sometimes I get asked, are you guys putting money on this? And it's like, no, man, way more valuable than money is pride and ego. That's what's on the line when the lights go out around here. So feel like it went well. We had a good time. If you guys thought it was an entertaining race, and then we're all winning. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Jason. Great shout out. And speaking of the elder Cotcher, let him know that the groundskeepers at Lime Rock are going to be sending him a bill for sod here, and you should be seeing that in the mail coming up pretty soon. So thanks for stopping by and seeing us, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. He had a whole real road racing career when I was a kid, just in SCCA and a hobby level. He's kind of getting a kick out of, he's not really afraid anymore. He can whip it around, and if he touches grass and throws it off, he's got a reset button. So he's had a smile on his face. But yeah, we'll hopefully that bill from Lime Rock isn't too bad. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
All right, take care. All right, and that was Jason Cotcher, league admin and the owner of Sim Racing Group. And if we didn't mention it, that's an actual brick and mortar facility on the east side of San Jose. They've got 10 rigs down there. So if you're in the San Jose area and have wanted an easy way to dabble in sim racing and give some of these cool cars a spin, head over to Sim Racers Group, saddle up, and give it a try, and you won't regret it. It could be the beginning of an addiction. And also waiting out in the green room, we have got today's P2 finisher, Stephen Case. And Stephen, we have seen you a number of times over the last couple seasons in F4 kind of drive away and have these races turn into a track day for you, and didn't happen today. It looks like Adam Thompson is going to be able to provide some good competition for you. So how did that race unfold for you, from your perspective?
That was a great race. Adam just was flying. I mean, I couldn't catch up. He was, once I got about 2 seconds behind, I just kind of settled into my own pace and stopped trying to push so hard, not trying to get 1Xs all the time. Yeah, he basically had 2/10 on me on that last chicane almost every lap. So I'm gonna have a look at his data and see what he's doing special there.
Well, I can tell you one thing from watching that he's doing, and that is getting four wheels off the ground on the exit of Variante Alta on a number of laps. So straightening out that chicane will definitely, it's risky, but we'll pick up a couple of tenths. And we were talking to Jason about tire management, and it seemed like people's tires were going off and things were getting sloppy toward the end. So what are your observations about tire wear on these F4s over a 25-minute, or over these F3s rather, over a 25-minute sprint?
If you're going at qualifying pace every lap, you're definitely going to feel it at the end. For me, it wasn't so bad when I, started letting up a little bit. I don't know what lap that was, maybe 5 or 6. Once I got 2 seconds behind. So I think my fastest laps were at the end, actually, because I saved the tires a little bit. But I mean, if you're not careful, they can really go off. I mean, in our practice session, I did 45 minutes of driving, and then I think the right rear was all the way down to like 60% or something like that.
Yeah, these that extra 100 horsepower definitely kind of lets you spin up the rears without penalty. In the F4s, too much sliding around took out huge bites of time, but this car, it doesn't really seem to take off a lot of time, but definitely adds tire wear if you get a little loosey-goosey with the rear end. So yeah, super interesting stuff, and I hope you enjoy watching the replay of the broadcast later. It was a great race up and down the field. So as we wrap up, Stephen, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
As always, Jason doing this, creating this league and getting everyone together. It's really awesome. We have 2 separate, divisions now. I just watched the race last night, and that was one of the most exciting ones I've watched in a while, I think. Yeah, good stuff at Lime Rock, and it had the potential to turn into a demolition derby, but we were treated to some really good, clean, respectful racing out there, and looking forward to the rest of the F4 season unfolding as well. So, all right, Stephen, well, thanks a lot for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on track next week. All right, thank you. All right, and Charles, I see
my friend Jeff waiting in the green room. Not only am I not going to try to pronounce his name again, I'm also going to let you go ahead and do the interview, and maybe he can tell us one more time how to properly say his name.
Finally, I've been waiting for this moment. Gentlemen.
So the hard charger, by the way, before I turn you over to Charles, up 13 positions to finish in Lucky P13, but I'll turn it over to Charles.
Yeah, Jeff, congratulations. And we'll let you go ahead and start by pronouncing your last name for us.
All right, here goes. It's Jeff Shilja.
Shilja. All right.
Shilja, yeah.
That'll take me about a month to get, but we will get there. So,
Right.
Hey, let's talk about the race tonight. It was it looked like you were battling pretty hard. Obviously, up 13 positions. Some of that was from attrition, but some of it was just from good car management more than anything else. I think the biggest thing we talked about earlier with Jason was the tires. So how did you feel about the tires coming through the race?
Oh yeah, tires were really slippery in qualifying. I think it was very apparent I was having a lot of issues. I got to my computer, like sprinted home from work, got to my computer, had like 6 or 7 minutes to put in a time, tried to warm up my tires in time, but they were just really slippery, and I really struggled to keep it on track, so I wasn't able to put in a clean lap time, unfortunately. So I think on this track specifically too, with all the chicanes and stuff, it just takes such, I mean, you have to be so careful on the brakes and be so accurate and not overdrive the car, and I did do a little bit too much of that. But after qualifying, went into the race, I think P26 or something like that. Not actually, I think it was P26.
Yep, P26.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of a struggle. I'm glad I muted myself in the voice chat. We'll just say that.
Yeah, I've had races like that, so I completely understand. So next week we have we're leaving the Villeneuve chicane and we're heading to the Villeneuve circuit. We're going to Montreal. Obviously, a little bit of different track. So how do you feel about that so far?
I need to get some practice in. I've been seeing that track all over. I've seen it in officials a few times, but that is a new one for me. Some of these tracks I'm really excited for in this season, but Imola and how do you pronounce it again?
Montreal.
Oh, just Montreal.
Yeah, we just call it Montreal, but yeah.
Okay.
Villeneuve.
It's Gilles Villeneuve.
Villeneuve, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm not even gonna try. It's my turn to ask how to pronounce things. Yeah, these two tracks are new, so I got a lot of practice in with Imola, but I'm gonna try and do the same thing for the next track. Yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, it looks like a fun time, and hopefully, I won't have a repeat of what happened today in qualifying.
We'll let you go and celebrate your successful race. But before we do, we'll let you give any thanks or shout outs that you would like to give.
Yeah, I know that a couple of people have probably shouted out Jason, but it's well deserved. I mean, he's kind of created such a big community, and being able to be a part of this is really special. He's personally helped me out with a lot of things, and he has done a lot of good things for me, so I'm very grateful to everything Jason's done. And then also to you guys as well. I sometimes when I catch these broadcasts, they look so professional and they're so well done, and the commentating is so smooth. And it's really cool that you guys are giving us exposure. So thank you very much as well.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. Jeff Shilja, we'll get there. Hard
You're
charger for the night. Hard charger for the night, finishing in P13. Jeff, we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Sure thing. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
All right, and Jeff, you're going to be watching this later, and I'm going to give one more run at it. It is Jeff Schilge, and I think I did it perfectly. Hallelujah. All right, so folks, we are not just about these fantastic Sim Racers Group open wheel races here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Tomorrow night, we'll have Extreme Scoring IndyCar finale at Gateway Oval, and Saturday, Weekend Warrior Formula Vs will be competing at Olton Park. Never, ever miss a race at Olton. That is going to be fantastic. And then Ron's Race Nights, we'll see Super Formula cars back here at Imola. And on Sunday, the XSLR Round 13 will have GT3 action at Road Atlanta. So be sure and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting and hit that notification icon to make sure that you don't miss any of the action. And I also want to mention we have some special events coming up later on this summer. July 3rd, the USRA 100 Lap ARCA event, and we'll have cash prizes on hand for that. And on July 26th, we're running a 3-hour endurance race. We are still settling on the classes, but you GT3 bros out there, the classes will include GT3s and again, cash prizes. So holy cow, that was round one. I am JR Gregory, and on behalf of myself, my partner, Charles Boshell, and our producer, Racing Ron Maunzf, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hang on, baby. Friday's coming.